Hi. So, what do you say? The divine God, my spirit team wants me to share my story again because there are new people who are finding out who I am, new people coming into my story they're coming to me based on what people are saying about me, but the new people don't know maybe the full scope of the story. And also because it might be getting buried out there because I am fighting with a lot of corruption. So let's break this down for everybody simply. I'm going to just go back the last 3 years because that's what's going to be most relevant to what's going on or why everybody's paying attention to me. It isn't simply for the fact that I've performed many a supernatural miracle, if you will, in front of the world, which I have been doing, but what it comes down to in the material world, if you will. A few years back, I'm going to say 2022, 2021, I started looking for my childhood best friend. I grew up very different than everybody else. As I've stated previously, I was left in an apartment by myself by who would be called my father in this world at 10 years old. One of my brothers was murdered in Las Vegas. My family left to hunt down the person that murdered him, and I got left behind because I was too little to go. So I was left at home in Chula Vista in an apartment by myself, and my dad just told me to keep the program. Get up, go to school every day, take the school bus, come home, fix myself food. They left me enough food for a couple months, and I was there by myself for a few months at 10 years old. I grew up very much on my own. I was on my own probably even before then. My family is not like other families. Now, stepping aside from that, we are 2021. I started having dreams that my best friend from my childhood, Arturo Waco from Logan Heights 30, or Arturo Algundo Torres, my childhood best friend, I started having nightmares about him being in danger. Now, over my lifetime, I've had these spiritual gifts that I didn't know were actually gifts because I was surrounded by narcissistic people who were continually abusing me and keeping me in this box of I'm not good enough, I'm not this and that and the other, while using me for different things. They wanted me to seem broken, poor, needy, karmic. My whole life, these people have been destiny swapping with me, which means they have been doing, literally, I'm not fantasizing this, the people around me practiced things like Satanism and dark magic and did things to project their karma onto me and harvest my sacral energy or creativity. These are actual spiritual practices that people practice, okay? So going back to Arturo Waco, my first love, whose name is Alfonso Gomez, I moved in with him when I was 13. I dropped out of school to take care of him after he was jumped. He got shot 3 times in the chest and stabbed 12 times. He is from Logan Heights, or he grew up in Logan Heights, and I moved in with him when I was 13 years old. I dropped out of school and I stayed in the hospital with him every single day. I slept on 2 chairs next to his bed, taking care of him and nursing him back to health. And I moved in with him and his family. And since I did not have a supportive family, his family pretty much adopted me. So I became a part of that family, and I grew up with that family, and that was the family I knew as my family, my karmic family. While I was growing up with that family, my first love's cousin was Arturo. My first love was very abusive. He used to beat me, cheat on me, things like that. And he always suspected that I was having an affair with his cousin while we were growing up. And he had told me a couple of times, on multiple occasions, that if he ever found out that I had done anything with his cousin, he would kill his cousin and kill me. I never did anything with his cousin growing up, but I did consider his cousin my best friend because his cousin was the only one who ever stood up for me, ever, and the only one that ever had like my back ever. The other, he didn't. He was actually there for me growing up. And a lot of people did not like his cousin because his cousin was a truth teller, and truth is not comfortable. People don't like you when you're a truth teller because it shines a light on the shit that they don't like. So he had a lot of haters just like me. But he would beat someone's ass, and that's the difference. And he would find himself in trouble sometimes because that anger. But he wasn't a monster. But my ex, because I started looking for him, started doing the thing what he does, which is this gaslighting thing. They start with assassinating somebody's character. So what they do is he will literally pay people with dope and money to slander people on purpose throughout the neighborhood, throughout the family, spreading false lies about people, dangerous lies about people, calling them child molesters, calling them crazy, calling them, saying that they stole drugs from drug dealers, saying whatever they have to say. They'll say that you drowned puppies if they have to. They'll say whatever they have to get the neighborhood, to get the community, to get your family, to get your friends, to abandon you, to isolate you. Once they successfully do that and isolate you from any help that you might be able to get, then they systematically start taking turns on abusing you in different ways. They will hack your Cash App account, steal money from you. These particular people stole my identity over and over again. They put false businesses in my name. I have apparently parts of my inheritance are in accounts overseas. They've been laundering money as part of my inheritance. I am the child that was stolen from the house of Jane Mansfield when I was little. I am that child, and it is infamously known that an actor left me an inheritance. That's where that inheritance comes from, and that's why these people are fucked, because my uncle was a middleman, and because that there are years of evidence about that inheritance. It's been widely investigated over time. The FBI were looking for me for a long time. So no matter what these people have done to alter documents, those documents have pre-existed since the 70s, many of them. There's no way that they can get away with this. There's just no way. But they did try it. My uncle left me a decent inheritance and his home in Florida. Now, Arturo, Waco, I kept having nightmares that he was going to die in 1 year. 1 year. In my dream, I saw a picture of somebody who had died with an X on it. Then I saw a red line being drawn to the second person's picture and then a red X on it. And that person died like a week after I had that dream. And in the same dream, I saw Arturo's picture and a red line was going towards it. So I interpret this dream. When I woke up, I was panicked because I know how my intuition has been my whole life. My intuition has been like this. And I will dream things and they come true, or I will say things and they will come true, or however you want to say it, premonition, whatever. I am gifted. So I was doing well. This was like COVID had just broke out and I got not my stimulus, but I had gotten like money from unemployment for COVID. And I went looking for Arturo in Logan Heights. He's from Logan. So I started asking the community, but I had not been active in the community for a long time. I stayed to myself. I did what they call going Christian. I went Christian, but I just never went to prison. I became a mother when I was like 18, and I just changed my lifestyle. And this pissed my ex off, my first love, the abusive one. We'll call him the Sagittarius because that's what I refer to him as. So my first love, the Sagittarius, even though I had broken up from him and gotten out of this DV relationship, he had been tracking me and fucking with me over my lifetime, and I just didn't know it. He had been spreading rumors about me to people in the community. He had been spreading rumors to people in his family. He had been doing things to fuck with me. And the sick part about this is that the whole reason he pushed me out of his life to begin with was nothing more than the fact that his mom got out of prison and his mom didn't like me. And I hadn't put it together until after Waco died. But I remembered when we were little what he told me. And what he told me is that his mom used to molest him. And I remember him crying to me about it. And I told him, don't worry, some people in my life have been sick too, and it's not your fault, and giving him hugs and shit like that. What I didn't realize, though, at the time was that he was actually in love with his mother. And when she got out of prison, they resumed their sexual relationship. So she wanted me out of the picture. His mother started putting him on me to fuck with me. He was doing things to me in my life to sabotage me on purpose. And I just didn't know, because I thought he had moved on. He had kids with another woman. He was in another relationship, but secretly still stalking me. And I just didn't know it. He was stalking me from fake Facebook accounts. He's doing shit to me. I just didn't put it together. I just thought, at the time I thought my bad luck was my own. My depression was my own. My things that, the things that I just attributed it to, well, some people win and some people lose. No, my things, I was literally being fucked with and I just didn't know. And so when I started looking for Arturo, it, at the time, I guess, pissed him off, and he just pretended like he was cool with it. He pretended like he was looking for Wacko for me, because I said I had a dream about Wacko, that he's gonna die. I need to find him. I had a dream that he's gonna die in a year, and I have money. I wanna help him out. Like, maybe he needs help. Maybe I can help him. Where I don't know where he's at. I didn't know he was right around the corner from me, but my first ex did know that he was living right around the corner from me. And he purposely sent us both in different directions looking for each other, because it turns out Wacko was looking for me too. So I decided to take it upon myself and start coming back out in the community to find Wacko, because in the hood, everybody knows everybody. So I was like, I know I see the youngsters that were living close to my house. I'm like, in the neighborhood I live, everybody's related to somebody in the neighborhood where I live. So I know one of these people is related to somebody who knows something that knows where Wacko is. I know this. So I started asking the youngsters, and I don't know what happened, but the youngsters betrayed me in some way, because my ex talked to them. My ex put it out there that I was just a hoe, that I was a hood rat, and that I was just looking for Wacko because I was on the D, that I was chasing that. That's what he told them. And it had nothing to do with that. I never slept with his cousin. I never slept with any of them. Only Poncho. That's the only one. I never slept with anybody else. I wasn't a hoe. I was in a DV relationship with Poncho. If I had slept with anybody else at that time, he would have beat the crap out of me. And I was foolishly in love with him, because I was like battered women syndrome at 13 years old. I had been raised this way. I was taught by people that all women got beat by their husbands, and we just didn't talk about it. I didn't know that was not true until when I got pregnant. When I got pregnant, I took myself to the YWCA and got therapy and counseling, and they placed me in a women's shelter, like a pregnancy home. And I took classes on how to be a parent, how to be a mom, Lamaze. I took Lamaze classes. I took doula classes. I took all kinds of classes and learned how to do CPR on babies. I did good. And I changed my life. I worked very hard. I used to work at a mortuary. I worked in many places. I held jobs. I had my own places for a long time. And then I went through some hard struggles that I thought were my own fault. And it turns out it wasn't my own fault. I was being fucked with by my abusive ex, my DV ex from childhood, who I helped get into college. I wrote his essay that won him a scholarship in high school. And he went off to San Francisco State to study criminal justice, because he said he wanted to get his mom out of prison, because he's the reason she went to prison. He sold drugs to an undercover cop. His mom used to sell drugs and used to strap drugs to the children when they were little and have them cross the border with it. And he was mad at her because they were in a relationship, a sexual relationship. He was 13 in a sexual relationship with his mother, and came home and his mother was with another man. And it pissed him off. So he purposely told an undercover what was going on. And she got arrested and went to prison, federal prison, for 6 years. So he felt guilty about it, and he wanted to go to school for criminal justice to help her get out of jail. So I helped him because I was in love with him, and I asked him, well, what do you want with your life? What do you want to do? He said, I want to help my mom get out. Done. So I used to do his homework for him. He never did any homework. He used to go out and party. He used to go out and smoke and drink and be with other girls. And I would be at home cooking, cleaning, and doing his homework and ironing his clothes, shining his shoes, shining his chains, hopping up and down the stairs, bringing people tortillas and beer, cleaning up the house after parties, cleaning people's bullet wounds and stab wounds. This is what I did. So this is how I grew up. I grew up around a lot of shit, okay? But regardless of that, we had become what I thought was estranged, and I didn't know that he was still following my life. He was sleeping with his mother, but I guess he secretly still had a love for me, whatever love a narcissist can have. But he viewed me as his property, and he thought that made it okay for him to stalk my life. And whenever his mother would find him stalking my life, she would put him to attack me in some way or another, and he would use his ties with law enforcement to fuck with my life, and I just didn't know it. So come to find out, after I had asked for him the last time, it was 2022 in November, and I had kept having nightmares about Wacko dying. So I desperately reached out to him again, and I said, look, like, I just laid it out there. I said, I have a lot of love for your cousin. Your cousin was there for me growing up, and I really want to find him. I really want to find him. I'll give you money to find him. Like, I really want to find him. And I didn't know at the time that my ex, the Sagittarius, his mom was diagnosed with cancer, I guess, and she was deemed terminal. And at the same time, he was in his own health problems, and they were talking about amputating his legs. And I guess when I went to him for his cousin, it triggered him in some way, and he snapped. So he came up with this plan. He came up with this plan to publicly assassinate my best friend's character by setting him up in a string of events, by fucking with his life so that he would be made to look like he was violent and out of control. He started sleeping with my best friend's wife. He found her at a Christmas party on purpose and started sleeping with her. A friend of ours from growing up, George, was there and confronted him about it because George was friends with Arturo. So he made a plan to get rid of George. So he set it up to have George's nephew shot in front of Chicano Park in Logan Heights. And they made it look like it was a violation of a peace treaty between neighborhoods. But it wasn't that. The other neighborhood that they said it was, those people got paid and bribed to say that they did that shit and set George up to go to jail for life. He didn't do what they said he did. He was imprisoned in Sweetwater in South Bay Detention Facility, which is monitored by San Diego Sheriff's Department, where my ex used to work. And they were fucking with him there. My ex would walk into the jail and beat him up on purpose there. They were doing stuff to George there and fucking with him there. They sold him out. They bribed and put him in jail forever. Poncho did that to get rid of him so that he could continue with his plan of getting rid of Wacko. Poncho then took Wacko out like 3 weeks before Wacko died. He took him out drinking. And on the way home, before he dropped him off, he told him that he had been sleeping with his wife. So he dropped off Arturo drunk at his baby's mama's house, at his wife's house, and then told him that he had been sleeping with her and showed pictures to him. So he did hit his wife that night. They used that evidence, they used that moment to go tell his wife's brother what had happened, to start a lynch mob against Wacko. And then he put it to everybody to a vote. Well, if he's going to die, we might as well take out life insurance on him. But they had already taken the life insurance out on him months before. And with some faulty insurance agents, they put like the maximum amount for him on his life insurance. After he died, they took his Apple Watch so that they couldn't prove that they set him up. I was there. They used me to lure him to the house where he died. They told him I was going to be there. And I was supposed to go with Alfonso the next day to that house to see Wacko, because I was going to tell him. I was going to tell him that I had found out that Poncho was sleeping with his baby's mom. After they killed him, they called me and told me, and Poncho was the one who told me. He was laughing. He said they shot him. He was laughing. He came to my house afterwards. I was on the floor crying in shock. He killed him in front of his little brother, Abran. Abran was traumatized. That's why Abran couldn't stop doing drugs. He was traumatized. Abran was looking at me and telling me, every time Poncho would turn his head, Abran was like telling me, like he did it. Like he shot him. He did it. He shot my best friend in the back. He waited for my best friend to go to the bathroom to go pee, and kicked the door down and shot him 5 times in the back while he was taking a pee. Or a couple times in the back when Wacko turned around and shot him in the stomach. Shot him 5 times. They didn't call the police right away. They had to make it stage it to look like something else. So they told like 5 different stories. They came up with different stories to spread around the neighborhood so that people would just get confused and stop asking questions. There was a story that he was breaking into somebody's house and got shot. There was a story that he had gone there to retrieve a gun for a youngster and got shot. There was a story about some feud between there was 5 different stories going around about what happened, so that they could confuse the public about what happened and people would just give up. Everybody who was involved in taking a vote on his life insurance got a piece of the life insurance. His first baby mom moved out of the neighborhood into a new house. His second baby mom, the wife, got a new car, a new phone, and moved out of the neighborhood into a new house. Everybody involved got money for his death. And my ex used it to buy in further and help the cartel. He switched his positions from San Diego Sheriff's Department and Customs and Border Protection so that he could help facilitate the cartel because of who his supposed daddy is, El Azul. So the reason everybody's paying attention is because the cartel, along with the M, along with multiple cults that they commissioned, have been attempting to kill me non-stop for over 3 years, having me surveilled non-stop for over 3 years. They even paid, and this is my money, because they had me held up, literally held up against my will in my own home, threatening me with my daughter's life. My daughter didn't believe me because I went to my bishop of the church. I went to the stake president of my church. They fed her lies, telling her that I was just crazy and on drugs. No, I was being literal. I came to my bishop with evidence, photographic and video evidence, that I was being abused in my home. And he sat there